Look, okay, we need to talk. Just between us, as friends, I want to acknowledge this shared, quiet shame that pretty much all of us carry. You know the exact feeling. You're standing there at the cheese counter, staring at dozens of wedges. You completely panic, grab something that looks, I don't know, vaguely familiar, and you head home. And then the disappointment hits. The quiet, profound shame of spending $15 on a rubbery, tasteless wedge of cheese simply because nobody ever taught you the actual system for choosing it. But hey, you are absolutely not alone in this.
So why does our cheese always seem to fail? Well, it fails because of how we choose it. We guess. We guess based on price, just assuming the expensive one has to be better. Or we guess based on how it looks, or we just buy the exact same 3 cheeses we've heard of since we were kids. And guessing leads to failure. But in this explainer today, we are completely replacing that guesswork. We're going to arm you with a 4-step professional framework so you can walk up to any counter and know exactly what to pick every single time.
All right, let's dive into step 1, the hidden cheese selection system. The right application changes everything.
Buying an incredibly complex, extra-aged cheese for a melting sauce is literally like buying a Ferrari to haul lumber. I mean, it's an amazing machine, but it is completely the wrong application. See, young, high-moisture cheeses haven't tightened up their protein networks yet, so they emulsify into this beautiful, smooth, clean melt. But if you try melting a 36-month extra-aged cheese, those tight proteins seize up instantly under the heat, and you get this awful, greasy fat separation. It's a total culinary disaster.
So how do you actually know if a cheese is going to melt before you buy it? You use the fingertip moisture test right there at the counter. All you do is press your fingertip gently against the cut surface. If it leaves a slight little impression, boom, you have the perfect moisture level for melting. If it feels completely dry and hard as a rock, it's too aged to melt cleanly. And if it's actually wet to the touch, well, it's way too fresh and it's just going to steam in your pan instead.
Let's look at this application map really quickly. If you're melting, you need high moisture. Think Gruyere or young Gouda. Building a cheese board, you want the full flavor spectrum. 1 soft, 1 medium, 1 aged. If you're cooking it into a dish, match its roll. Grab Parmigiano for intense flavor or ricotta for texture. And for cold salads, you absolutely need structural integrity, right? Stuff like feta or halloumi, so it doesn't just turn to mush in your vinaigrette. Just knowing what you're making literally solves half the mystery instantly.
Moving right along to step 2, decoding the aging spectrum, or reading without tasting.
You know, the label alone can tell you the exact texture and intensity of a cheese before you ever even touch or taste it. Think of it like a timeline. At 0 to 2 weeks, fresh, high-moisture cheeses are soft, mild, and milky. At 1 to 3 months, they become semi-soft and buttery. By 3 to 9 months, they start getting semi-firm and kind of nutty. Once you hit that 9 to 24-month mark, you get firm, sharp, really crystalline textures. And beyond 2 years, you are entering the intense, highly concentrated territory of extra-aged cheese. Speaking of aged cheese, have you ever bitten into an aged Gouda and felt those little crunchy white spots? Those are tyrosine crystals. They're actually amino acid deposits that form as proteins break down over a long aging process. And here's the secret. They are highly sought-after signs of proper, careful aging. They are absolutely not a defect. Honestly, if an aged cheese doesn't have them, it might have been poorly stored or artificially rushed.
You also really need to familiarize yourself with the 5 key families. Fresh cheeses have absolutely no rind. Bloomy rinds have that white, velvety exterior, like a brie. Washed rinds have a sticky, orange-red exterior. And get this, they might smell like an absolute barnyard, but they'll surprise you with a wonderfully mild, buttery interior. Blue cheeses have that sharp internal mold, and hard or semi-hard cheeses are pressed and firm.
All right, step 3, the physical senses test. Confirming the label, and trust me, the strangest part is yet to come.
Step 3 requires us to step away from the labels entirely and use our own physical senses, starting with smell. It is your most powerful tool. A fresh cheese should just smell clean and milky. A soft, bloomy cheese like brie should smell earthy, and a slight ammonia smell right at the rind just means it's perfectly ripe. But if that ammonia smell is overwhelming, walk away. It's overripe and it is going to taste bitterly disappointing.
Speaking of brie, let me empower you right now with a physical touch test that instantly, and I mean instantly, separates a perfect, gooey brie from a sad, chalky one. Just gently press the center of the wheel. If the center yields and feels softer than the firmer edges, it is perfectly ripe. If the center is just as firm as the edges, put it back. It's totally unripe.
Now, there is a critical number you absolutely must burn into your memory. 30.
as in 30 to 60 minutes. You must always pull your cheese out of the cold refrigerator 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to eat it. The cold temperature literally suppresses all those volatile aromatic flavor compounds. Letting it sit out at room temperature awakens the flavor molecules. It's a complete game changer.
On to step 4. Asking the insider questions. The counter is your resource.
Let's escalate the drama a bit here. Instead of feeling intimidated at the counter, we're going to extract the closely guarded secrets right from the cheesemonger. You can fire off questions like, "Can I taste it?" or "How long will it keep?" or "What should I pair this with?" But the single most powerful phrase you can ever utter at a cheese counter is, "What's at its peak right now?" They know exactly which wheel just hit its perfect flavor window. Let them guide you.
And when you do ask for that taste, remember the number 20. This is the crucial 20 to 30 second finish rule. When you taste a sample, really pay attention to the finish. A truly great, extraordinary cheese will linger on your palate for a good 20 to 30 seconds after you swallow. An ordinary, mass-produced cheese, it vanishes the very second you swallow it.
Which brings us to our final step, Section 5, the plastic wrap betrayal, how we destroy perfect cheese.
Brace yourselves because we've reached a shocking twist. You do all this work, you pick out the perfect wheel, you bring it home, and you're about to unknowingly murder it. Never, ever use plastic wrap directly against the cut surface of a cheese. Cheese is a living, breathing food. Wrapping it tightly in plastic literally suffocates it, traps moisture unevenly to accelerate terrible mold, and imparts this vile, artificial chemical taste right into that expensive wedge.
But don't worry, the professional rescue technique is incredibly simple. First, wrap the cut surface tightly in parchment or wax paper. This allows the cheese to breathe safely. Then, you loosely wrap the outside of that paper in plastic wrap or just toss it in a loose container to keep it from drying out entirely. Finally, store it in the warmest part of your fridge, like the vegetable drawer. That is the secret to saving your cheese.
And one last rapid-fire rescue trick for your kitchen. If your aged cheddar grows a little spot of mold, do not throw the whole block away. For hard cheeses, simply cut about 2 centimeters away from the mold in all directions, and the rest is perfectly safe to save and eat. But if mold appears on a soft cheese, discard the whole thing entirely. Mold penetrates soft, high-moisture environments instantly and deeply. It's just not worth the risk. Okay, so we've covered the application, the aging labels, the physical signals, the counter questions, and the correct storage. The guessing game is completely over. You now possess the map. So the only question left is, are you ready to map the counter for yourself? Next time you shop, use this exact framework to build the ultimate cheese board, the kind that makes your guests wonder who on earth catered your party. Thanks so much for hanging out and learning with me today on this explainer. Catch you next time.